What is up, YouTube? It is your boy Joe Barber. It is Tuesday, and the time is 2:05, and it's my lunchtime. This is my lunch for today. There's a real good restaurant that I go to. It's right across the street from us, and it's real good food. Like it has more like a homemade kind of vibe. Let me turn this light on so I don't look. It's dark. But anyway, really been working hard, trying to just work on myself, doing a lot of self development, really trying to manifest a lot of things in my life. Trying to get my school open. It's everything is just there. It's just like I just need a little to get it going. But very motivated, very happy to be in this position right now. Like I'm very blessed that I want to say that I'm in this position. My mind is very clear. I know what I want, and I know what I'm gonna do, and I know the people that I have around me. Everything is just lining up, and I'm very excited, very motivated. And I just want to share with y'all just on that, like the reasoning behind my school and why I want to open a school. The main thing is, yeah, I want to teach people how to cut hair, but for me, I've experienced a lot in my life. Like a lot of people need to hear the story that I have so they can kind of take a little bit of that energy and put it into their life. I want to make people understand how powerful your mind is and how we can get ourselves out of situations that may not have been our fault, may have been our family. And for instance, I could talk about my mom. My mom wasn't around for me when I was a kid. She never went to a basketball game. I don't want to say that she never hung up any of my artwork when I was a little kid, but my mom was living the life that was presented to her, whatever in the neighborhood, in the environment, that's what she became. And my mom never thought beyond that. My mom, I mean, and this is my perspective of what I remember being a kid and growing up in the projects. I had a good life, man. I wouldn't change anything about how I was raised. I saw a lot of good, a lot of bad. Grew up with a lot of different kids, had a lot of fun, got beat up. I beat up people. I did all that stuff, man. Whatever, man. I met a lot of kids, a lot of people in my life. I've gone to different schools, and I always was like kind of I don't want to say the main character, but for most part until I got to high school, I was like that guy, because I was good at basketball. Sometimes I had good clothing because I used to work when I was little and to buy my clothes. And what I mean by having good clothes is like back then it's like having some Guess pants, one pair, but they were Guess jeans, and then I had like the what's his name, the Martin Jabot, excuse me, the Jabot pants, uh, stuff like that, man. And for me, that was like a sign of status back then, and I was a cool kid. I had the Reebok pumps and stuff like that. So that kind of drew people to me, and I used to draw a lot for people, and that kind of made me like the cool guy. And of course, I was a little bit of a little gangster, and at least I thought I was. I try to use that as intimidation to for other kids, so I never look weak. I always had a insecurities about looking weak in front of people, man. I always felt like I had to show that I was more masculine and more, look at me, I'm tough and whatever. Um, which was, it was just a disguise. It was just like a mechanism, I guess because of my insecurities. But now that I'm older, I understand it, and I forgive my mom. That's the whole point of this, is to show y'all that even though I grew up like that and I experienced all these things, and I saw my mom do a lot of bad stuff, being an alcoholic, doing drugs. I've seen my mom getting a tattoo by a homemade machine. I've seen my mom hit people, fight with people. My mom used to be, drunk driving, all that stuff, man. And I could always use those as reasons for me to falter in my life. But my mom was just doing what she knew that was happening in her life. And a lot of us, we do that. We hold on to our culture. We hold on to learned behavior. Sometimes we mimic music. We mimic videos. We mimic basketball players, football players. I know I did, man. When I saw Primetime wearing the headband on the neck and the on the elbows and the wrist, man, I did the same thing. I remember Ricky Waters used to cut his gloves. We did the same thing. So it's like I'm not saying that we're stealing people's identity. We just get inspired by them, and a lot, part of us wants to be like them, and which is okay. But sometimes you got to recognize that, okay, before I do that, and it's all good. It's like Halloween. I want to dress up and have fun, but don't get lost in it, because you're divine. God created you for a purpose, and that's my main thing in my school is being able to teach someone exactly why they're here. It's not going to be by accident that someone comes to my school. It's not going to be by accident. I see it, and it's my opportunity to open their mind so they can reach their full potential. By me teaching you how to cut hair, yes, man, but we're not in the hair business. We're in the people business, and you got to understand people. And before you understand people, you got to understand yourself. And that's my whole theory behind my barber school. That's what I want to do, and no one can steal this. No one can steal this idea. People have stolen my ideas before. People have stolen, like, I do some of my artwork. Someone will copy it. I do a haircut. Someone will copy it. And that kind of, it brought me down when I was younger. It brought me down because I was like, man, I did that the Spurs haircut, and then someone else wanted to do it because they wanted to be famous and they wanted the attention, which is cool. It's all good, but it kind of, I allowed it to take my power away, my joy. And I was like, man, well, I got to be successful at something else. So I started focusing a lot of my energy on being successful at opening a shop. And then COVID hit, and and then you're dealing with people. Different barbers are weaker than others. And what I mean by weaker is like not as experienced, not emotionally disciplined, having things outside the shop that would affect them in here, and therefore it affect their money, and then when it affects their money, it affects my money. Even now, today, I'm here. It's Tuesday. My day's off Wednesday. Out of the 10 barbers that work in here, there's only 2 of us right now, right? And usually, as an owner, I would be upset. Let me pick up the phone, blah blah blah. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna entertain it, because I know what's coming for me, and I know that I'm at a level where if my car had a flat tire, I don't make excuses. I either get in one of my other vehicles, or I call an Uber and get my butt over here, because it's my responsibility to be here regardless of what's happening out there. And those are the kind of things that make me successful. And I'm not saying I'm rich. I'm not saying I'm wealthy. I'm not saying that at the current moment I'm not. But the thing is, even if I was, I wouldn't change that part of me. Why? Because that's what got me where I'm at right now. Why am I going to change the formula when it's like, oh yeah, like, oh no, you got all the money, you don't got to do nothing? It's like, no, you have to do something with it. It's not just receiving it, it's what are you going to do with it? And it's like, I want to change people's lives. I want to be able to reach more people. I want to be able to teach more people. I want to share my story. So my thing is, my school is going to teach you how to reach your full potential, not only inside a shop, but also beyond that. And that's what I want to produce. I want to produce millionaires if I can. Like, why not? Why not have all my students become millionaires, thinking beyond the chair, thinking beyond just cutting hair? Of course, it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to make any guarantees to anybody. But what I'm saying is, if I can help you reach $100,000 in your first year, very doable if you commit. And I could break it down to you and show you the numbers. And this is not a lie. I've done it. And it takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of discipline. So you can do it. And especially now that haircuts are $35, $40 average. I got to charge $50 just to feel like I'm not cheating myself. Because I'm like, man, I got 20 years of experience, and you got these kids coming out of barber college. And, you may have some talent. You may be able to do some good haircuts, but y'all are charging $50, $60 right out the gate. And I'm like, well, damn, I know you can't do what I do. And I know you don't bring to the table what I bring. So then it's like, okay, should I lift up my haircuts? And I know, like my boy JC says, like, man, if you ain't charging 100, you're doing somebody a favor. But I'm like, it's beyond that for me. I think it's beyond that for me. I enjoy the interaction between my customers. I'm good at what I do. I don't even have to think about cutting hair anymore, because I've been doing it so long. It's just like a reaction. It's not even a thought. It's just a reaction that I know what to do, how to do it, and get it done. But for me, it's talking and sharing a lot of my experiences. And I like to put a little, a little razzle dazzle in it. I like to joke around a lot, and that's who I am. So I'm getting in touch with that again, and I'm not being so like, oh, you got to be business savvy and you got to know this and that and blah blah blah. Like, I know those things now. I went through it through the storm, but the thing I want to share the most is teaching people to reach their full potential. And that's it. That's the main thing for me. I can teach you how to cut hair. I can teach you how to do, ball fades, razor fades. I can teach you how to do a low fade, mid fade, high fade, clipper over comb. I can teach you how to adjust all your clippers. I can teach you how to do portraits, how to do logos, how to use an airbrush, how to apply hair dye. But there's a lot of guys in here that can teach you, like 90% of that stuff. The only thing that I have an upper hand on is doing portraits and designs. Like, I have an upper hand because that's a skill that I developed and that's a gift that God gave me. That's not to say you can't do it, because I can teach you how to position, how to sketch, how to draw. It takes time, but just like anything with repetition, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And those are things that, I mean, I can say it easily. It doesn't take effort for me to be able to teach anyone that has an open mind and a dedicated heart to learning something. So my gift is to use my voice, and the conviction that I have, the passion that I have in my voice is what I'm going to use. Yes, I have the experience, I have the resume, I have all those other factors that some people may need to see or need to know. And maybe they don't even know. Some people come to my shop and they see all the artwork that I have outside and on my, like some of the pictures, and they're like, bro, you did this? I'm like, yeah, I did that portrait of Bad Bunny and his, DJ let him see it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I did a portrait of Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, I did a portrait of Ginobili or whatever. I did all the Spurs on one head. Like, people freak out, and I'm like, well, man. In my mind, I keep thinking like, oh, I thought y'all knew about that stuff, and no, they don't. So it's like, oh, cool, that's great. So, but those are the things that I like to do, and it's one thing to be able to inspire somebody, but sometimes when people see that, that just shows me that they don't even know what we're capable of doing as humans. Like, we're capable of creating masterpieces. We're capable of creating everlasting moments. And I have moments in my head that why they stay stuck in my head, I don't know. But I have memories that I remember when I was a kid. I mean, I can remember all the way back till I was 2 years old, and my mom was kicking out my stepdad, which is my sister's dad, out of our house. He was a painter. He had the stilts. He's packing them up. I had the little brown boots with the red laces. I don't know, a lot of y'all may not know that, but that was back in like 82, 81, and I can remember that in my head. And it's crazy because it's a vivid image. Why do I remember that moment? I have no idea, but I do. There's a lot of little moments that I remember in my life. And why they stick, I have no idea, but I know that our mind and our memories are attached to us to a way where there's so much power in it, and we just gotta learn to utilize it as much as possible. And it's not all about just repetition. It's about purpose. It's about purpose. It's about the big picture, and where you start from doesn't matter. I started from the projects. I started from the dirt. I started, I had kids at a young age, all that kind of stuff, man. I started cutting hair. I cut my own hair. I cut my brother's hair. I started just because I was poor. Like, I didn't have videos. I didn't have YouTube. I didn't have, like, MySpace, Facebook. None of that was popping when I picked up some clippers. But once I saw that people can, repost pictures and repost videos, I was like, man, I want to do that too. And then, yeah, when YouTube became available, I was like, wow, well, how do I put my video on there? How do I do that? And back then, man, we had crappy cameras on our phone, so we couldn't really do it from our phone. You had to actually get a digital recorder. That's what I had to do. Record with my this, and then I had to put it on a laptop. Then I had to convert it. Then I had to put it through another program to turn it into an MP4, then upload it. And it was just a lot of work to put up videos from way back then. But I did it. I learned how to do it. And some of my old videos, if you go back to my like first videos, it was like some haircuts, some videos of my kids playing football, some videos of my dog. What else did I put, man? And then I started putting a lot of haircuts. But those are the things that I can tell you. That's how I started. and it wasn't a glorious road. It wasn't like, oh man, this, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate what that barber did, and because I see people liking him, so I'm gonna do what he did. And like I didn't have none of that. I didn't have a blueprint of nothing. All I know is that I did what I love to do. I was doing artwork on haircuts, and next thing I know, people like seeing them, and people liked them. It was new to everybody, and then my video comes out on ESPN, and boom, it just blew up. Came out on Yahoo first. On the Yahoo, like when you turn your computer on and it says Yahoo, that was your homepage. It had my video there, and it was bananas that day when that came out. Then ESPN played it on. So then that's what, like, that me releasing those chemicals in my body, the endorphins and all that, it released something in me, and I was like, wow, I like that feeling. So I just kept doing more and more haircuts, and I started doing like video, like haircuts of videos, which were videos of people that passed away that I admired, like Marvin Gaye. I did one of Mr. Duncan, who Clark, I think his name's Clark Duncan, the one that plays the Green Mile. I did one of Jimi Hendrix. I did one of like Santana. I did one, a real good one of Santana. Like just people that I admire and people that I respect, and stuff like that. When I did a lot of the tributes to people who had passed away, I started doing that, and people were coming, and I would do pictures of people that passed away. So when they went to a funeral, they had that same person. So it's like those were just ideas. I didn't copy anybody. I didn't want to be like somebody. Those are just my ideas, and then it spread out. And I mean, I admire that other people did it, but it's just like this is something that is my idea, and it's no one can duplicate it, because you can't duplicate me, because God only made one of me. So it's like that's the thing. All the trials and tribulations that I went through in my life are finally going to come together to where I can talk about it and be good, because I love myself enough to accept it, like to accept all the hardship, to accept all the failure, to accept all the pain that I had to endure to get to this point. And I think that's one thing that we as individuals have to do. We have to get to a point where we accept the past and accept it, and don't hold grudges towards somebody, or don't blame your mom, don't blame your dad, don't blame your grandma, nobody that's in your family. It's nobody's responsibility. Yes, man, they're responsible to be good parents and provide, but they're gonna do that to the best of their ability, and whatever they think is the best, that's on their chart. They're like, hey, this is the best I can do, and that's what they do. My mom never went to my basketball game. That's the best she could do. But I ended up being a pretty good basketball player. I tore my ACL when I was a junior, which kind of affected everything. But because I was almost gonna make it to the NBA for sure. No, I wasn't. But anyway, I met a lot of NBA players, so that's the second best thing. It's like, man, if I can't be a hooper, then I'll just cut their hair. So I did that, man. I've cut a lot of good basketball players. Shout out to my boy Juanito that plays for the Toscano Anderson. So Juanito, I met him through my friend Orlando. He plays for the Warriors now. If y'all see him, I think his jersey number is like 95. So I cut his hair out in Mexico City. He's young Thundercat. He's a good dude, real funny, very athletic. That dude can jump out the gym. But I admire him, man, and I got to cut his hair. I got to cut, some other Mexican athletes. But regardless of that, man, I've done a lot of great things, and I've had a great story. So I welcome it and I embrace it, and I love it, because if there's anybody that walks through those doors, I want to say 9 out of 10, I can relate. I can relate with any trauma. I can relate, death in the family, losing my pops, my son getting cancer, a lot of different things. But at the end of it, it's just like I learned how to stay in tune with myself. I learned how to control my emotions. I learned perseverance. I learned not to give up. And I learned how strong I was. I really learned how strong I was. And I didn't think I was as strong as I am now. And it's all glory to God, man. I thank God for everything. This is all His doing. He chose me for this. And this is my journey. And it's like, I embrace it, and I love it. And no matter what, comes my way, I have bad days. I have good days. I have bad days. But the main thing is when I make these videos, right, I meditate in my morning. I do my morning reading. I do my affirmations. And I work my mind to get to a point to where, okay, Joe, what kind of life do you want to live? And all this, I'll tell you this. Let me tell y'all. All this came about because, I was trying to deal with my trauma, and I was doing like a video, a Zoom with I found a counselor online, and I was like, you know what, man, let me. I know a lot of Mexican, Hispanic dudes are like, oh man, I ain't doing no damn counseling, and one of my good friends, Andy Minio, he did that, so I didn't find any shame in it. So I reached out and I talked to to a therapist, and I was talking to him about my life, and I'm thinking like, what's wrong with me? Why do I do these things, and why am I this way? And so he's telling me, and I'm talking to him, and then we go to like our third session, and then he asked me a question. He's like, "What makes Joe happy?" And I'm like, "Oh man, well I love teaching kids." No, 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 no. What makes Joe happy? Because you can't involve somebody else in your happiness. Like, what makes you happy? And I started thinking like, damn, what makes me happy? I've been so committed to helping people, and so committed to being of service and being available, and all that I forgot what makes me what makes me happy. And it's like, he's like, dude, if you had all the money in the world and you could do whatever you wanted, what would make you happy? And I'm like, damn, I got to think about that. And that's how all this started coming about, where I started reading books. I started like, I wanted knowledge. I was it made me hungry to figure out like what makes me happy and why am I here. So then that's how all this came about, for me. And I was already in the process of opening my school and all that was already going to happen regardless. Sorry about that, I needed something to drink. So but anyway, that's how all this came about. And so that's why I feel very empowered, and I feel very focused. I've like I said, man, when I meditate and I think, and I project, like I could see myself doing things, and I'm like, would that make me happy? Yeah, and I fantasize like, man, what if I have a real big house, and what if I have like a real nice car? Like, what kind of car would you want, Joe? And I'm like, man, would you want a Lamborghini, or would you want a regular car? And I'm thinking in my head like, I'm not I don't like to be too flashy, but like my son has that Corvette. And I was like, man, I really like a Corvette. It makes me happy. Like, it's a cool car. That I feel like it's a part of me. I feel like I can drive it, and it represent me. But even then, like, would you want a Lamborghini? Because I'm pretty sure a Lamborghini drives way better than a Corvette. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I had all the money in the world, would I want to live that life, right? Because then people all of a sudden treat you different. It's like when you walk into a place with a suit on, man, they treat me way different than when I just walk in with regular clothes. And so I see it like that, and I see it like, yeah, people's perception, man, it's crazy. Because if I do pull up somewhere in the Lamborghini, everyone's gonna treat me like, oh man, this dude got a lot of money, man, he must be somebody important, blah blah blah. But if I pull up in a regular car, even then, people are gonna be like, nah, that's just a Corvette, it's just a regular ass car, it ain't nobody. And it's like, do I want that, or should I even care what people think? That's the reality of it. But I know also, I consider the amount of energy that you receive when people see you in a successful state. You're gonna have people that are gonna hate you when you become successful. You're gonna have people that they envy you, they hate you, they're jealous of you because they want that, but they don't want to work for it. They just want it. And I'll tell you right now, if you give anybody right now that doesn't know how to value um, anything at all, and you give them money, or you give them that car, all it's gonna do is they're gonna ruin it, and they're gonna ruin themselves. I'll tell you that from the jump. And it's the truth, because if you don't know how to take care of a Honda Civic and you treat it like crap, and you think, nah, when I get the Lambo, I'm gonna take care of it. No, because your habits, your mental pattern, the way you live your day in and day out has to change first before you're capable of changing like that. When you, like, all of a sudden you get this money, or you get like a very expensive vehicle, you got to work your way up. And if you treat your Honda Civic the way you treat a Lamborghini right now, when the Lamborghini, and then I say that about haircuts too, when you get the Lamborghini, nothing changes. You took care of your car, you're gonna take care of this car. If you get a Tesla, you're gonna take care of it because you took care of your little hoopty. I don't, I'm driving my Denali right now. My Denali's kind of beat up. It's dirty. I got some 23-inch rims on there, but they're, the chrome is coming off. And but I love my little truck. And if somebody hits me, I don't care, because I'm like, it's paid for. I have a badass transmission that I put on there. My motor's really good. It does what it needs to do. I can pull a trailer with it. no problem. I got a little sound system in it, and I'm happy with it, and that's all that matters to me. I know, yeah, man. In the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I wish I had that new Escalade with the 20 whatever's on it, the the stock 22s or whatever it comes with, 24s or whatever. Like I think that, but then I'm like, what's the difference right now? Like it's a lot of times, yes, the comfort, the smell of the leather is really good, but other than that, it's really like the same thing, dude. It's still gonna do the same thing. It gets me where I want to be. Um, so that's my thing, and of course, yes, impression is really good. You wanna, if I pull up to go pick up some people, that are important, I want to pull up in something nice. So, but if I'm gonna do that, I just buy a Sprinter because that's what I really want is a Mercedes Sprinter. So I'm running out of time, guys. But I don't want to take too much time. But anyways, I'm over here just rambling. But I just feel like I want to share with you guys like more about me and how I got to this point, how I reached this point in my mind, how I reached this point of acceptance, how I reached this point of just getting a broader view of why I'm here and why I need to open my school. I don't want to talk down on any other school, other owners, anything like that. But the fact is that I'm a licensed barber. I have my license. I am a licensed instructor. I have that license as well. I've been cutting hair for over 20 years. I have traveled all over the country. I've cut celebrities. I've been on TV shows. I've cut inside Madison Square Garden. I've worked with Andis. I've worked with Wall. I've worked with Oster. Done the Connecticut barber thing. I've done, the which other one, that the New York barber battle. I've done all types of stuff. I don't want to have to go through that, but I'm saying like I have all the experience of the only thing that I haven't done was create my own product, which I'm on the works. I'm doing that, but it's like guys, there's no limit. There's no limit to what we can do. And I've done a lot of things. So if you're going to want to hear it from anybody, you want to hear it from someone that's been there, done that. I always say this to people. I'm like, would you rather get trained by an NBA pro that was an all-star, Hall of Famer, all that did it, been there, done that? Or you want to get trained by a dude that played varsity basketball and he just acts like he's done it. He's like, yeah, man, I know how to get to the NBA. I just, it wasn't my time or whatever. And it's like, but this guy over here did do all that. He doesn't talk the way you talk, but I know that he did it because he's already so zoned in and doing what he's doing. Like we know that it's proven. He's not gonna give us any false hope or false information about how to become successful as a barber when someone